we go. All right. Here we are on a level podcast, episode 14. Yeah, 14. I'm 99% sure it's episode 14. Yeah, we gotta rock with it. And we have the man, no longer the myth, the legend. Jamo, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, not bad. Yeah, we I was about to. Yeah, we kind of go back.
Yeah.
In terms of the Aussie shit, we definitely go back.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, you know what? I think you're arguably the second Australian I've ever known. I've ever talked to.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe for no.
What an honor.
To be fair, fair, I think I had a bunch of primary school teachers that were Australian.
Oh,
It
okay.
seemed like all of our primary school teachers were from Australia or New Zealand.
There you go.
It was mad. Like, I remember back in school, like looking back at it now, I don't think we had many like British teachers in my primary school. Everyone was just Australian or from New Zealand. I remember one day, I walked into class. I must have been year 5 or 6, so I'm like 10 or 11. Well, 10, and teacher says something about being an Aussie, and I'm like, what's an Aussie? And my teacher just literally just like face palm. She's just like, you've been taught by Mr. Mr.
Yeah.
And even me for the last 2 years, and you don't know what an Aussie is? I'm like, nah. She's just like, someone who's from Australia. I'm like, and then the penny finally dropped.
You're slow, man.
Yeah, I just didn't clock on. Me at my big age of 10, you know, I was just in the playground, spinning around in circles and pretending to be Thierry Henry. That was me, man.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because in my primary school, I had 2 teachers who were from England. So obviously the rest were Australian, but yeah, the 2 English teachers are actually probably my favourite. Just had good banter with them, and yeah, it was good times.
Ah, that's sick, man. So wait, in Australia, what's the first year of school that you do? Like the very, very first, like here it's nursery. What do you call it?
So we've got kindergarten, but that's not an official. You can do it at proper schools, but for me, I did it. I did it at my local primary school, and then I did. So we've got pre-primary, which might be. Do you have pre-primary or not?
Yeah. So ours is like nursery, which sometimes is part of the primary school. Sometimes it's its own little thing. And then your first like proper primary school class is reception, and then you'd go year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4,
right?
etc.
Okay. Yeah. So ours is kindergarten, which is probably your nursery, and then we have pre-primary, year 1, year 2, year 3.
Okay. So your pre-primary is our reception. Like in reception, you're 4 turning 5. Nursery, you can be as young as just turned 3 up until 4.
Yeah, that's the same with us. So our pre-primary, which is your reception, that's like 4 to 5 year olds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you finish primary school at year 6.
Year 6. Yeah. So for me, I finished in year 6, but back when I did primary school, so I'm 19, and when I finished primary school, it was 2012, and that was the last year of year 7s being the final year of primary school, and then they moved it back to being year 6, so all schools across Western Australia finished at year 6. So I started high school. So I went to a private high school. It was like
I went
Catholic.
to a private school.
Not that, man. I went to private school, and that school started in year 7. So most private schools started in year 7, and kids would leave at year 6. But most kids that went to a private school went to a private primary school. So I didn't. I went to a public primary school, and then I didn't get to graduate primary school because I finished a year before and left with no one. So that was interesting, but now everyone finishes year 6 and starts high school year 7.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what year do you finish secondary school then?
So secondary school we finish at year 12.
Okay, we finish year 11.
Okay.
But we have to. Okay, so the government law, I think that came in about decade ago maybe, was
Yeah.
you have to stay in education or be in full-time work or an apprenticeship or something like that till you're 18. So
Right.
you leave secondary school at 15 or 16. Well, most people 16. For me, I was 15 because I'm a summer baby.
Okay.
And so how our academic year works. And
When's your
then
birthday, by the way?
August.
August, yeah. So summer for me. So I'm December 15th.
Right.
So that's my summer. But
Oh
your
yeah,
summer's
shit, your summer's okay, yeah. So for all you Aussies, I'm a winter baby then. All right. That makes sense. I prefer the winter to the summer, even though I was born in August. So maybe
you got to come here, bro.
Winter.
Save up, make your way over here, and celebrate your birthday in our winter, which isn't that cold.
Shout. That's in a couple months now. Yeah, your winters are probably just not far off of our summer.
Yeah, well, like today, so I'm in Perth for everyone watching, and what's today? Today, the lowest it got down to was maybe, I don't know, 10 degrees.
That's like our autumn at best.
Yeah, 10, and it was raining today. Like there's thunderstorms and stuff, but like, you know, it's our winter now, and it's only got down to 10 degrees, and then our summers are ridiculous.
Right, any Aussie that ever chats to me about our harsh winter, I remember saying that before. I was like, if I come over to Australia, I'm gonna come when it's winter time for you, because one, it's easiest for me to get my time off of work during our summer, and then I want to come when it's not 50-degree heat where I can't handle it. I'm not a guy that can handle summer like this, so I'm gonna come when it's your winter, and then I don't have to worry. Someone went, the winters are too harsh. The winters are too harsh here. You won't be able to handle it. I'm like, big man, I come from Britain. Okay? Now. The worst it will get for us is like -3, -2. Like, that's the worst ours will kind of get. Most of the time, it will just be like 0 on the dot and it will be snowing. That will be the worst that we'll... Do you even get snow? You must not get snow at all.
No. So... in Western Australia, there's only one spot that it snows. It's called, well, people say there's Bluff Knoll. That's the name of it. And it snows there maybe once or twice a year. But in Melbourne, there are some mountains that it does snow, but that's only at certain times of the year. And you were saying there aren't harsh winters in Australia, and definitely doesn't compare to the UK. However, Melbourne, like the eastern side of Australia, does get a lot colder than Western Australia. So, for example, Melbourne's winters will be a lot colder than Perth's, but it's definitely not as cold as England.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. See, that's mad. So, like, obviously, you've never had, like, a day in school where it's been snowing then?
Never. I've never been in snow.
Right. Okay, you've never been in snow. See, that's mad. See, here... I think most year it snows, and then most of the time that it snows, it will settle. Because sometimes it snows, but it doesn't settle into the ground. It doesn't snow heavy enough. It kind of just evaporates away. Now, I'm not a lover of the snow.
Okay.
But I'm glad to say that as a kid, I was able to have a snowball fight. I was able to, you know what I mean? So it's just, it's mad how there's a difference there. So so you went to a public primary school. What was primary school like for you, like when you was back then?
I loved it. Primary school, especially being so young, you know, you're learning about the world. And I went to a really small primary school, so there was only 120 people in the whole school.
Yeah, that's not far off of ours,
Yeah, and no, I loved it. I had a good friendship group, and because you're so young, you don't know exactly what's going on. You can do what you want. I mean, I had fun. I played sport a lot in primary school, and I loved it. I loved the school canteen. So we had there's recess and lunch. So your 2 breaks in the school day. Yeah, and you could go and drop off a lunch order in the morning. So you've got like a little paper bag, and you write down what you want from the canteen, and then you give it to the canteen ladies, and then or men. You know, no discrimination.
But we're gender fluid out
normally ladies. So you'd throw in your order, and then come recess and lunchtime, they'd bring in a clothes basket into the classroom and say, "Oh, who ordered your lunch?" And then you can walk up to the clothes basket, grab your stuff, and you're set. and that was
That's
great.
mad. What?
We had chicken nuggets, we had chips, we had pies, it was so good.
What? All right. So was this a thing just in your school, or is this like a standard thing across like Western Australia, or is this a
Right.
standard thing across Australian schools?
So I'd say probably 95% of Australian schools have canteens where you do order, but our menu was pretty good compared to the other schools. Like,
Okay, right.
not every school would have
Had
chicken
that.
nuggets. Like,
Okay, so
but,
in primary school we never had that. It was either you was
Yeah.
doing school dinners or packed lunch. It was one of them. Like
Right.
either your mum
Yeah.
sent you in with your own, or dad, again, we're being gender fluid out here.
That's it.
You'd be sent in with your own lunch. And that's that. You know, you'd have your sandwich, your yogurts, your whatever you had, like your fruit, whatever. Cool.
Yogurts.
And then yogurts. I remember having this discussion before. So
Yeah.
yes, and then there's the school dinners, and then whatever there was that day, that's what you was pretty
Okay.
much given. There was like your dietary free normal option, and then there was like your vegetarian option. But here, it's gone so downhill for schools here,
Really?
especially primary schools. So across England, they're trying to say that English kids are too obese on average, so they're trying to do more healthy eating, etc., etc. Now, I'm all for healthy eating. You know what? Cool, that's fine. But big man, they really try to get creative with their options. So on a Friday, it's always fish and chips on a Friday. Without fail, always fish and chips. So everyone loves having chips. That's it. You have your chips and you're all good. But Monday to Thursday, dangerous. Dangerous. Okay, so you could end up with a spaghetti bolognese. You'd be fine. Yeah. You could have a jacket potato. It's like, not bad. All right, I can rock with it. Then you turn up on a Wednesday afternoon. Turkey meatballs. And you're like, big man, what? They come out with some mad options. Like,
Crazy.
They'll come through with like stuffed mushrooms or something, and I'm like, big man,
Really?
I am 6 years old. I'm used to turkey dinosaurs. What are you putting in front of me? And so yeah, schools here again, and that is across most schools. Some schools have better menus than others. I remember when I started secondary school, on the break time, you could go buy like sausage rolls. You could buy like what else could you buy, like pizza. You could go buy things like that. Now, like my sister's still going to that same secondary school. She's just like, you can't buy anything. It's like dry tuna sandwiches, and at best, and I'm like, what happened to the good old days?
Ideal.
And even then, compared to you know, on your yeah, can I just get 6 nuggets as if you're walking into McDonald's, like?
But in saying that, it was only once or twice a week that the canteen was open in primary school. So so I think it was Wednesday and Friday you could order food, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday was packed lunch. So, you know, I have no problem with that. Packed lunch, you know, you have what you want or have what mum and dad, you know, gave to you. But Wednesday, Friday was the good days because one, you have sport on a Wednesday and a Friday. That was just my school. Yeah. And you could have what you wanted from the canteen. So that was a bloody great day. But that was the day where it come through. Gum fingers for PE and canteens.
No, I remember that in secondary school as well. It was there were certain days that were just better than others. Like your what am I thinking of? Your plan of the week basically. And I remember, I think it was a Friday that was like my best day. It was like music in the morning, then PE. Music, then PE. We had 5 periods in a day, like 5 1-hour lessons. So it was music, then PE. You had your break. Then it was geography. But geography, I had a really good geography teacher at the time. It was quite chilled. Right. It was, it was all right. Yeah. Then I had PE again. And then I had music at the last lesson of the day. And so it was just like, woo!
That's so good. What a day.
Yeah, that was it. So I used to come in. I used to like save up my money during the week just for Friday for that last lesson of the day. And then we'd all like just buy so much shit food. We'd buy crisps, cookies, sweets, everything. The music in the last lesson of the day. Teacher was just like, you know what? Do what you want. As long as you're half working at something, I'm fine. Our teacher was a legend. I think she just realized she just couldn't control the class. It was difficult for her. She couldn't control the class, but she was lovely as a person. So people never took it too much for granted. Like if she could turn around and be like, oi, stop, or whatever, and you kind of would. But kind of just had respect for her, just out of her being an old lady that was just a really nice person. But yeah, we used to come in with the snacks. That was us, like, you know.
We'd be feeling chunky by the end of the day.
That's it. But that was like the unofficial best moment of the week. It was just like, yeah, Friday music. We get to do what we want.
Yeah,
and that was it, man.
No, well, I think the last class that you have at any school, especially on a Friday, everyone's going to be wound up and ready for the weekend. So
ready, yeah.
Whatever teacher has that last class, they have to let it go, because if you try and set rules in an environment like that with all the kids going crazy, you're going to get nowhere, and kids are going to start throwing shit at you. Yeah. So,
I can understand. I mean, I'm a PE teacher myself. I know that if I have a class on a Friday afternoon, I'm taking it a little bit easier on them. As well as teachers. Yeah. Teachers also have that Friday feeling. Teachers also either want to go home or they're getting changed from work and they're going out. I know teachers that do that as well. So yeah, it is one of those things. Teachers also struggle as well. I know some teachers that really do struggle, more so in secondary schools, because secondary schools, you know, with how some people are moving nowadays. And I feel like it's a generational thing. I feel like, because you're pretty much the same age as me, I'm turning 21 soon, so I'm only a year older. And I feel like the generation above us will look at our generation and be like, they're so misbehaved. What's happening to this generation? They grew up gaming. And then we're looking down at the younger generation. We're like, what are they doing? So misbehaved. They grew up with social media, and it's just like, it's just crazy to see. It's always going to be a generational thing.
That's it. I think it's crazy to think about. So let's think about like our parents back in the day, what they did. It's hard to imagine how life was without social media and technology and, you know, gaming and all that. But let's think, 40 years time, how's the world going to be? You just don't know. The world's changing so quick, and, internet was huge and is huge. And then you've got social media's taken over. What's next? Fucking flying monkeys or something. I don't know. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, man.
You just got to let your mind wander.
Yeah, but it is crazy in terms of, when you grow up with things, no different. So, it's what you're used to. So when we grow up and we're just like, with your Nintendo 64 or your Game Boy or your PSP or your PlayStation 2, whatever you've grown up.
What was your go-to?
My go-to, okay, so my first ever one I played on was a Nintendo 64, but it wasn't mine. Yep. The first console I owned myself was probably a PSP / a PlayStation 2. But then I used to play on like my dad's PlayStation 1 a little bit of Nintendo 64. At my auntie's house, they had like the Game Boys and things like that. So I dipped into that generation, but really and truly, I'm the PlayStation 2 era and PSP. Yep. And I didn't have one myself, but the not Nintendo Switches, the DS's, Nintendo DS with the little pen and whatnot. Yeah, that was my generation, really.
Yeah, the same with me. So my first console was PS2, and then PS3, PS4. I delved a little bit into the Nintendo DS. I had that for a bit. That was good fun. But I've always been into sports games over anything else. Like, I've always been into my FIFAs, my NBAs, stuff like that. And FIFA 12, 13, 14, 15, I was heavily into playing that, especially with my friends from school. Mm-hmm. We'd have sleepovers and we'd have 6 of us play, and we'd all bring our monitors along, and we'd all it was insane. And pro clubs was great. Like, FIFA for me was my middle teenage years.
Right.
I never really got into the Call of Duty and stuff, until the later years. But gaming as a kid was great. See, I don't play too much now, as I don't have as much time. Mm-hmm. But especially back in the day, it was a big part of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very similar to here. I mean, I remember, let's say, like year 7 times going into secondary school. It was everyone either played FIFA and or Call of Duty. Now, I never used to have online. FIFA naturally just became my go-to in career modes and things like that, because you didn't have to be online to do that. Although I had the Call of Duties, they were my dad's, and I'd just borrow them when he weren't playing them. But I used to just run through the campaign like 8 million times, and all the Spec Ops missions. 8 million times and I'd run through them. But realistically, yeah, I never went through that era of playing online and chatting shit in Xbox Live lobbies and things like that. I only ever did when I was staying at a friend's house because I never had online gaming like that. So
that would have been exciting for you.
Oh, massively. But because of it, yeah, FIFA ended up being my go-to as well. And for all the other kids that as well just didn't have online gaming, whether their parents didn't let them or their parents couldn't afford it for them, whatever it was. So yeah, FIFA was a big one here. I think the first ever FIFA I played was probably FIFA 06 or 07.
Yeah.
So I mean, here from the minute you could pick up a controller, you're playing FIFA. Like that was just it here. But in terms of when I really started getting into it, FIFA 09, because I had that on the PSP.
Yeah.
And by the time I was like FIFA 12, 13, that kind of era, that's when I was really starting to get good. That was to the point where you could chat shit. If someone went, I beat you at a game of FIFA, it was, hey, what, blood? Come on, then. And that was it. It was game on from there. When am I coming around your house? When you coming around my house? Let's play. And so that was it, man. Yeah,
we used to have money involved, like especially year 7 and 8. We'd bet $5 wagers and stuff, and like sometimes we'd put money on FIFA coins on the line and stuff. And I'm not promoting gambling, but it's good fun. It puts something,
a little part of your culture.
On the line. Yeah, that's it. You put something on the line and then you die for that. You put your heart and soul into that. Like, I remember shout out Andrew Corrigan. I played a game against him in maybe FIFA 14 for 100,000 coins. Now, back then, I was new to the game. It's a decent amount, all right? Yeah. And I think it finished 2-2, and then we said, nah, fuck penalties, fuck extra time, we'll play another game. Yeah. So we played another game. And I think he beat me 2-1, and I genuinely nearly cried.
Man.
Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's my last 100,000 coins. My team's gone to shit. This was my 20k team with Dumbia and DeBarbo.
Oh, shit. Now we are throwing it back. Dumbia. Oh, shit. Yeah, okay.
And, I mean, he's probably the better player, but... yeah, fuck you.
Just don't want to ever admit that. That's the thing. As a FIFA player, you never want to admit when someone's better than you. Never. Yeah,
well, I'll play him now. So he'll probably watch this, and I'll play him now and I'll beat him. No worries. But back then I was young. I was new to the game. That's it. Look down the camera. Look at this.
He means the business. All right, well, I would start offering to play people, but I'm on PC, which I still could, but nobody has it on PC. No, nobody. Yeah, just that little pepper. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, back in the day, I mean, I started playing Ultimate. I didn't really hop on the Ultimate Team wave for too many years. I think I only did it for FIFA 14 and FIFA 15. And I remember FIFA 15 was when I started doing YouTube content as well.
Yeah.
And I was doing like Race to Division 1s and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I took FIFA very, very serious. I won Division 1 a few times, and that was the level of serious I took FIFA. I was winning Division 1, and I never had like a crazy insane team. I never used to buy coins or FIFA points. I used to trade. So literally, like, if I couldn't be bothered to play the game, I was trading. I used to come home from school, be half doing my revision or homework, and then half trading and waiting for players and bin sniping and things like that. Like, and that's how I used to spend my evenings. Like, it's sad looking back at it, but it's also part of how I grown up,
That's exactly. And you wouldn't be who you are now if it wasn't for that.
Oh, and you know what I think is good about it? It's like a digital age of entrepreneurship. You're like trading on an online market and actually building. The only thing is, it's not real money if you're doing it with just like FIFA coins, But it was some form of, entrepreneurship.
That's it.
The video games teach you shit. Don't tell me
They do. I know. There was some, like when the Fortnite was huge, right? There was a lady, a mum in Australia. I don't know her. It was just on TV and it was broadcasted a lot throughout Australia. And she was saying that her son was, hypnotized by Fortnite, and every time he'd come home, he'd be playing, and he wouldn't sleep, and she'd walk into his room, and he'd be playing Fortnite, and it was ridiculous. Like, yes, that's not great, but you are the parent, and you need to put rules in place. But also, don't ruin his life and put him on national TV and call him like this fat kid who just plays games and eats and he doesn't do his schoolwork. just let him live his life.
Yeah.
Or put rules in place. Don't, spread it out across Australia, because when that kid grows up, even he'd go back to school and he'd get shit talked by, people in his year. Mm-hmm. It's not good. But yeah, it's just a little rant. Sorry.
No, I agree. I agree for the most part. I mean, it's interesting perspective, especially when we're going back to like generations and how you grow up. I'm sure if every 40, 50-year-old that we know grew up with the same shit we had, they'd be playing it just as much. The same way if they grew up and we grew up with Instagram from the age of 5, we'd also be trying to get on it and do the TikToks and the dub smashes and the Musical.lys and all of that as well. We'd equally be doing the same shit.
That's true.
So it's what you grow up and what you're used to. And when you're not used to something, especially as you get older, I know I'm going to be like that. Realistically, I know I'm going to be sitting here at 8 years old going, this is real music. And I'm going to be talking about Skepta, And so I understand that it's just what you're not used to. It's kind of, you're almost scared of the unknown. When you don't understand something, of course, you're a bit wary of it. And so when they think, why is this kid sitting in his room for 8 hours a day playing a video game? Well, it's like, because they can do that. Before, when you didn't have that, you had to actually go outside to socialize. At the end of the day, I am building a fucking career out of the internet.
That's it.
This right now, and we've never met face to face, and so it depends on your perspective of it. Some people be like, he sits in his room for 3, 4, 5 hours a day working on videos and watching this, that, and the other, and it's there. It's your perspective on it.
It comes down to understanding as well. So if you can have someone that's 40, 50 years old, but if they have an open mind and they can understand what you're doing and where you're going with it, I can appreciate that. But the thing that annoys me is people who don't even give it a chance, and they just say, oh no, that's crap, you should be doing a proper 9-to-5 job. But most of the people who do YouTube at like our level, more particularly your level, like 10,000 subscribers, congrats.
Oh, thank you very much.
Like they don't understand that you've got a job, you're working, right, throughout the week, and you're doing this as a side thing that you hopefully want it. You know what I'm saying? You want it to be bigger one day, and I back you. I think it will be, because already. Sorry, I'm sucking your dick here, but already, you
Keep
are,
going, baby.
You are.
All right. Let's compose for a second. All right, I apologize about that comment. Continue.
You are creating something worldwide for the Australian scene. So you are giving the Oz rap scene more exposure than it probably would have, and you're getting, you're building follower. So do you know how many like the percentage of Australians that are subscribed to your channel? Would it be like 7%?
So recently I checked, it was 93%. 93%, and it's like 3 or 4% from the UK, 1% from New Zealand, 0.5 America, and then it's just like 0.1 on a shitload of other countries.
But you see, that 0.5% America can be, a couple hundred people, and those couple hundred people can show more people and more people, and then it expands. Like your 10,000 subscribers, how many? You got 1.5 million channel views in total, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Think about that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you're doing something incredible that no one has done yet, really, for the Australian scene.
No one has really took by the scruff of its neck. I've had this conversation with a couple people recently. I'm aware of a very, very small handful of people that are doing it on a semi-regular basis. That are doing reviews, but I will agree with nobody is taking it any further than reaction videos. I don't see many YouTubers, and I'm not talking about Triple J's or any Australian media outlet. Let's talk about, just people sitting in their room making videos. I don't think anybody else is doing it. And if they are, no disrespect to them, I'm just unaware of it. They haven't got the numbers behind it yet, or the exposure behind what they're doing yet. So I want there to be more people. I really do want there to be more people doing this. I encourage anybody, especially from Australia. I want to see more Australians reacting to Australian content. Because right now it just seems to be a bunch of Americans and then me from the UK. Like it. And again, no disrespect. I know that again there is one or two people from Australia that are reacting, but I really want to see someone also try and just take it and try to do something with it
and run with it. Yeah, because doing it from Australia, you've got a better understanding, and I know you've learnt a lot through the couple of years that you've been doing the Australian reactions and stuff, and it's been a pleasure to watch you learn about Australia and the slang and the culture, I guess. But I feel like if an Australian did it, obviously that they'd have a better cultural understanding, but your musical understanding is very good. But like if an Australian did it, like the way you do it, and take it by the scruff of the neck, as you said, and push the scene, the more people that do it, the further the scene's going to get, really. And I've seen 1-4 lately. They've had a lot of successful drill tunes, and like the reaction channels, like Dens and Rens and all the UK reactors that lead to the V and stuff, they're all reacting, and that's pushing their music further, and it is giving exposure to the Oz scene, but it just takes one person to get the ball rolling at the end of the day.
Oh no, I mean I had someone say they messaged me on Instagram and they were like, how do you feel that there's other YouTubers that do one reaction to Oz drill and they get more views than you do? And I'm like, good. Good. I will happily accept the title that people have given me of, but you're the original Oz scene reactor. I'll take that all day long. I'll take that smaller market of people that will understand that all day long over the 100,000 plus views or the 50,000 plus views, which, to be fair, I think my 1-4 recent reaction is closing in on that. But either way, fuck views. And I know that's weird because I've had to appreciate the numbers that I've had recently, and I even put it on Instagram a few days back, like, what the fuck, 10,000 subs and this amount of views in 24 hours, and I will always acknowledge milestones, but in a sense, fuck views, because when people start basing their progression around views, I feel like you're focusing on something that is very, very short term. It's something that is very, very out of your control. I think the reason why I've progressed the way I have is because, one, I give a fuck. Like, I actually give a fuck. As much as people say they love the Oz scene and they're doing their reaction videos, I'm not going to say I care more than everybody else. That's not true. There's going to be a shitload of Aussies that know more about the scene and will care more about the scene than maybe even me. But again, it's about who's making that content then. But, in terms of, I get gassed when I know that Wombat and Alex Jones have made a track. I'm gassed to hear that, Nerve has a new project coming, or I'm gassed to hear that Shadow had a new bars are still coming. I'm excited to hear these things. And so where I give a fuck, one, as you said, like, learning more about Australian culture. So I give a fuck. I naturally learnt more. I talk to you guys. Do you know how frustrating it is for anyone who has more than 100 subscribers that all of a sudden feels entitled, like they shouldn't interact? Like, all right, YouTube comments, I am bad for. I don't reply to YouTube comments very often.
At the end, some of them are shit. Some people that comment on YouTube have nothing better to do than to say something negative about the video. And if they have constructive feedback, that's fine. But if they're going out their way to say, oh, shit video.
Oh, yeah. And look, that's fine. Look, I don't... But it's the positive. It's focusing on that positive. I went through a stage of having a little bit of hate on my video. I wouldn't say it was super bad, but I was getting a solid amount of dislikes on videos, and that could have been because of outside things as well. But I think the reason why I was stuck there for a few weeks or a couple months is because I was always highlighting the negatives as well. Well, why is this happening? And this person should stop doing that, and this person needs to stop chatting shit. The minute you ignore that, you get quiet in your own head, and you can just block out all of that shit the best you possibly can. Because let's be real, when people are like, fuck the haters, I don't know. If you're a person who reads your comments or reads your Instagram DMs or whatever, you're going to see that shit. It is going to happen, but it's about getting as quiet as you can and just focusing on the positives. And so either way, I do my best to reply to everyone on Instagram and, things like the podcast. I randomly will Skype call people. I'll go on Instagram Live and chat with people, and it's interacting with your audience and actually giving a fuck. So I think that's mainly the first reason why the channel has done so well. 2, again, people say I'm a genius. Some people say it's like your musical knowledge. I just say it's common sense to me. I'm just stating the obvious, and I try and put it in a way where it seems very obvious, and then people are like, oh, I've listened to this song for 5 months now and I didn't realize that. And it's like, well, take a step back and look at it like this, I guess. I'm not stating anything that nobody is going to be like, oh, that's top secret government information. It's like, no, I'm just stating what some people just haven't thought of yet. This is my perspective. This is my opinion. And it's why I say to people, can people bring some value to their content?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then I guess the third reason, I don't know. Don't know what's going with that one, but
it's right. Yeah, just settle with 2. 2, as you said, it's not about the number.
2 is a good number.
It's not about the numbers.
But no, give a fuck about your audience. Give a fuck about what you're reacting to or reviewing. And 2, I can't even remember my second point. I'm mildly hungover and I'm crumbling as we speak. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you were saying before about the views and like fuck views. I do agree with that. Now, I used to make our backyard cricket videos back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
And I had a few that actually did well and, had 50,000, 60,000 views.
Yeah.
But the video itself wasn't actually that good. Right. Now, that was just, they get views because, Indian people, it's not racism, that's just facts. Indian people watch those videos and appreciate them for what they are, message me, say, great video, I want more. And I sort of grew out of that phase and I didn't want to make those videos anymore. Despite like most of them getting 20k plus views, I didn't want to continue that if I wasn't getting fulfillment out of it.
Yeah.
So obviously I grew out of that, I stopped that, and I've changed my content a lot, and I still haven't found my field of exactly what I want to be doing, because you've narrowed it down to, reactions, podcasts. You've got like your set few things that you do and are doing well, but I haven't found that yet. So I'm doing a lot of different type of videos that aren't necessarily getting the same amount of views, but I'm enjoying much more.
Yeah. So good. Try different things. I'm trying different things. I mean, I know roughly what I want to. I know definitely now my content's based around the Oz rap and grime scene and drill scene, I guess now. But I'm still figuring shit out myself. But with you, it's good. Try different shit. Find out what the fuck you want to do, and maybe you're gonna have a 5-year span. Let's say you're doing it that long, much longer, of just doing what the fuck you want to do. And I think that's how it should be. Do what you want to do, not where the views take you. Because again, if I wanted to do views, I'd be on UK shit. Let's be real. If it was about views, I would have built up a UK audience and I would have just stuck to that shit. That gets more views. And then I would have hopped on the 1-4 train. And I would have, if I wasn't still aware, hopped on the occasional chilling it and cursor reaction. But, if I wanted to do... views. When people chase views, you're chasing something that's so out of your control. When you then do it for the reason of you really enjoy doing it, whether that's the recording process, whether that's the editing process, whether it's just making content on a game that you like, or you love doing Q&As, whatever it is, just figure out what the fuck you want to do. And that doesn't just apply to YouTube, that applies to anything. Do what the fuck you want to do. Like, I know parents that they're like, my kid, they're going to be a football player. They're going to love football. And they push them and push them and push them so much to the point where they don't want to do it anymore most of the time. And so for when I have kids, people seem to think I have kids. I must have said a lyric or something in the song. I do mention it in a song here or there, but no, I do not have kids yet. But when I do eventually, I want to put them in as much shit as possible until they turn around and say, this is what I want to keep doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Try as much shit as possible. If you're someone like me that left school and was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, try shit.
Yeah.
Figure out what the fuck you want to do and then triple down on it. And then if you have a way of monetizing that, whether that be through YouTube, whether that be through streaming, whether that be through selling music or opening a business around it, then fantastic. You're living your dream. That's your dream job. Doing what the fuck you want to do and finding a way to monetize it. And finding a way to earn a living or make money. Even if it is a part-time wage from it. You know? That's how you find your dream job.
Yeah. I agree. And that's what I need to do, because at the moment I'm a bit lost with where I want to go in life. You know, I've gone through the phases of wanting to be a PE teacher. I went to uni for a bit and I thought, you know, it's not for me. And then I did a bit of sports science at uni as well. And I thought, no, I genuinely don't want to do this. And then, you know, even radio. I love talking. I love talking about different things. I love making people laugh, although it hasn't happened this much this podcast. But
nah, you're a funny guy. Don't worry, it comes natural. Yeah. But yeah, go on.
And then like I had a stage of a couple months where I was just down because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I thought it was my fault. But then I was like, look, I just got to try things. I got to do stuff in life to, you know, open my eyes and see different avenues and pathways, and then, you know, I'll end up doing something that I want to do because I am passionate about certain things, and I'm definitely trying to put my foot into the door in different, you know, fields. And yeah,
man, look, just keep doing. I mean, I was definitely bad for, especially when I used to do gaming content, bad for having an idea and sitting on it for 6 months to the point where that idea is now dated. Like, the visuals on these podcasts, I mean, it's a Skype call, but I don't have an overlay. I don't have a brand. I don't have a logo. Now, if I was to be doing this 1 year ago, I probably wouldn't have filmed a single podcast episode until everything was perfectly ready. And I think if you're at a super extreme top level, yes, okay, there has to be some level of quality off the bat. But realistically, I'm just doing. I'm in the process of waiting for someone to make me. I mean, fuck it. Right now, anyone wants to make me a logo or something, do it. Go for it. If I like it enough, I'll use it. But, you know, I want to get the visuals and everything. But at the end of the day, if I sit there and wait for that, I miss out on this podcast. I missed out on the one with Sonda. I missed out on the one with Carl Golly and Nerve, Saru, you know, a bunch of other people. So just do. Take action. Do. I have some videos that are shit.
Yeah, so do I.
That's fine, because you're doing, and I, again, that comes back to the whole thing of don't worry about views. Don't make a video based on the views it gets. I know some people that post things on Instagram, and if they don't get a certain amount of likes within the first 10 minutes, they take it down, and it's like,
it's ridiculous.
Content. The more you put out, the more people. Yeah, all right, you only get 20 views in the first 24 hours on that video as opposed to the 150 on that video. Okay, leave that video with 20 views up. Why? Because that's 20 extra people that could potentially follow you full time. And again, I used to be bad for this. I'm talking because this is what I used to do. I used to, this video ain't doing so hot, so we'll just private that. We'll just leave that understood. And I used to do that if it weren't doing so hot, unless it was part of a series that you had to leave it up. And then even then, I wouldn't finish the series if I wasn't getting views on the video. And I can understand it is difficult, you know, especially if you're putting a lot of effort and time into your recording and editing process. Like some people don't realize how long it takes to edit some things. It takes a while. And I'm sure you understand that. Some things take a while. And so, you know, it is frustrating when you put all of that time in to not get much in return. When you get 5 views and 2 likes, and that's just because they're your closest mates and they're just trying to help.
But at the end of the day, as you said, those 5 views may take you somewhere. And I know I've made some crap videos in the past, but you learn from it and you make your content better based on how that video did. Or, you know, if you're just not feeling a video, or you're not feeling a song that you've put out or something like that, leave it out there. Because you don't want to just cut that out and say, oh, it never happened. It did happen. It wasn't a good moment, or it didn't make you feel the way you wanted to feel, and make something better. That's all. Like, and as you're saying, like, do things in life. Don't sit on something, just do it, right? I agree. 100%. I agree with that, because life is too short. And it's such a fucking cliche. Life is short. But it is. It really is.
The reason something's cliche or cheesy or corny or whatever term you want to use, because it's true. If you hear it a lot, there's normally some level of truth to it. Like, if somebody tells you you're funny a lot of the time, well, there has to be some truth to it. If someone says, you know, your music's great a lot of the time from many different people, then it's most likely because you naturally make good music. You know, whatever it may be. If you're like, bitch, you ugly, then you know what? Bitch, you might need to just glow up a little. I'm sorry. But there's gonna be some level of truth to it. And so, yeah.
I mean, bitch, you ugly might not be a cliche, but you're just throwing out insults now.
Ah, well, you know what? In the words of Specs Gonzalez, there's no rules. And the reason I say that so often, you know why? Because it's true. But no, doing. Just don't overthink, just do. And yeah, all right, I'm not encouraging people to go do dumb shit. Like, you know what? I'm going to go rob a bank today. You know why? Because I want to do. All right, there's levels to it, of course. So if we're going to really frame that for the 1 or 2 people that only have a few brain cells, anything positive you're thinking of doing that you think will have a positive influence or impact or effect, do. And what's the worst that's going to happen? It doesn't do well? Okay, well, at least you can say you did it. As opposed to not doing it. Well, no one's viewing that if you haven't put out anything in the first place anyway. You know, and so people expect to post 2 videos and blow up overnight. Like recently, so I work in 2 different primary schools. The one I mainly work at for 3 years now, they still don't know about my YouTube. And so for when they finally see this one day, shout out to you, man. But the other school I'm working at now, they've all found out. So shout out to all of you, man, that have found out. 4 weeks. I've been at this school 4 weeks and they found out. How? Don't know.
How's it going? Is it good? You enjoying it?
It's not bad. It's a decent little school. It's a decent little school. So they found out straight away. I've walked in week number 4.
Yeah.
IAmChazza. Nah, there's no way. Coach Charlie. Chazza! I'm like, oh no. Walk into the staff room. We hear that you're a rapper. I'm just like, I've heard your most recent song. It was with Greasy, Merk. I'm like, we're gonna have a few problems here. All right, Linda. I know you grew up on Stevie Wonder now, right?
But secretly, Linda's at home, fucking...
Yeah, Merk him, leg him, Merk him, shell him, hurt him, work him. We're having a few issues now. So I've had to awkwardly explain this to everyone. I've had to address it to everyone. But there was a kid in the year 6 class, and he pulls me and he's like, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah. And he goes, I've got my own YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, that's sick, man. He's like, but I only have like a few subscribers. I'm like, okay. And he's like, what tips do you have for me to grow? And I'm like, okay, how many videos have you posted? I said, what kind of videos do you make? He goes, Fortnite videos. I'm like, all right, 6. So you like Fortnite? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so how many videos have you posted? He said 2. I said, that's it. Keep posting. Do you know how many videos I've uploaded? He's like, how many? I'm like, easily 500 plus. He's like, whoa. I'm like, I was doing this 3.5 years or 3 years before it even took me to get to 100 subs. It's like, it's gonna take time. And he's like, okay, good. And so again, I hear plenty of kids like, when I grown up, it was everyone wanted to be a rapper or everyone wanted to be a footballer. It was one or the other. It's I'm either playing for Arsenal Football Club or I'm gonna be spitting alongside Skepta or Eminem or, you know, whoever. And so now it's everyone wants to be a footballer, an Instagram star, or a YouTuber. That is the 3 that I always get now. And the footballer one, you know, the reason parents push that so much is because they grown up wanting to be the same. And, you know, and so that's why they push it. And, you know, or whatever else it may be. Dancing, acting, fucking into cars, whatever it is. Things that are old-fashioned or things that have been the norm in society for years, you know, parents will push because they're used to it. They know someone that grown up and did the same, and so they see it as a good thing. And where they didn't grow up knowing any of their mates wanting to be YouTubers or Instagram stars, they're like quite worried about that. Again, the unknown. And I say to anybody, fuck age, even if you're 9 and listening to this, fuck age. I'm gonna get sacked.
You are.
Between, let's say, any age up to however old, you know, as long as you've got a stable plan B/plan A in place, do what you want to do. For example, yes, I went college. I'm a PE teacher. Like, I have my 9 to 5, 5-6 days a week working, football coaching, etc., etc. If YouTube disappeared off the face of the earth, if I got copyright striked and the internet went down and the zombie apocalypse, fine. That's fine. Because I've got teaching there, and I will more than happily teach for the rest of my life.
But if there was a zombie apocalypse, if there was zombies, mate, you'd get fucked up at the school. You'd be teaching, and the zombies would come, and they'd tear you apart. So your plan A is fucked because of the zombies.
Hey, this podcast could turn left, and we could do zombie apocalypse plans. And if I'm in a primary school, better. Because I will single-handedly raise whatever class I have. If I have year 6 with me, I'm raising 30, 10, and 11-year-olds by myself. And we are going to be a squadron of killers. That's it. Zombie apocalypse plan. Find a primary school, take over the class, and raise them to be your own. And we might have an annual Hunger Games just to shake things up.
Just to cut out the weak ones.
Yeah, that's it. Survival of the fittest, man. Evolution. We've been about it for years.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying. About the plan.
Do what you want to do and just have your thing. Have your 9 to 5. Like, anybody who wants to do YouTube or music, like an artist especially, you know, get your 9 to 5. Get a part-time job at least. Be able to pay your bills. Be able to say, mum, dad, or landlord, or council, whoever it is, here's the rent. Here's the rent for the week. Here's the rent for the month. All right? Yep. Here's my phone bill. Cool. I can pay for that. Oh, we're going out on the weekend. You know what? Let me buy a round, boys. That's it. There's my round. There's my bit to pitch towards it.
Yeah.
Have enough money to be able to do that. And then triple down in your spare time. Do you know how many people say to me, I want to be a famous this, that, and the other, or a successful this, that, and the other. But you go to Coachella.
Yeah, exactly. You got to put in the work.
And that's fine if you want to go to Coachella. But then don't sit there and talk to me about how you was grinding over the weekend. Big man, that was a different type of grinding. That's not... No. People tell me, I want to be the biggest artist in the UK. Okay, fine, big man. But you're watching Game of Thrones. You want to watch Game of Thrones? Fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But then have your actions match your ambition. Not your words. People let their words, they think their words match their ambition because they say they want to be as big as J. Cole, or because they say they want to be as Ninja, or as big as KSI, or whoever it is, Chazza, yeah? That's fine, but I can say that. Let your actions now match that, because people are sitting there on social media taking a picture of their Netflix homepage and talking about how they want to be a millionaire. Nothing wrong with Netflix, nothing wrong with being a millionaire, but they don't fit together.
Exactly. 100%. And this is another cliche, but your actions speak louder than words. Massively. You can chat all you want, but your actions are going to speak louder.
Massively. Oh, massively. You know, again, as you said, it's a cliche. It's said a lot, but it's because it's true. There is not a single... I'm going to say there's not a single millionaire that hasn't worked their arse off for something. And or their parents or their grandparents or somebody in their generation that given them that money didn't work their arse off for. There is not a single successful person in the music industry, in the YouTube I will say in the YouTube industry that doesn't work their ass off. Even if they're fraudulent and deceiving, they still work their ass off to study the trends, to study behavioral patterns and study, you know, what's going on. There's 99% of successful people you know are successful because they work their ass off. And if they seem successful, that's short term. If they're not working hard but they're rich, that's short term money. That ain't gonna last. They ain't gonna be able to pass that down onto their kids or whoever.
Yeah.
Now, equally from a criminal standpoint, Like, let's be real. If you are a drug dealer, like a serious drug dealer, not like you sold a pack of weed to your mate, like on behalf of somebody else and took $5 profit. No. If you are a drug dealer, that is a form of entrepreneurship at its finest. At its finest. If you end up becoming the plug through whatever you've had to do, you've had to work your ass off. You've had to have your feet in the mud to get there. Now, am I saying that everyone needs to become drug dealers? No. But there's still levels to working hard for the shit you are to be at the top of whatever ladder you want to be at the top of. So, I mean, yeah, just actions louder than words. I watch people's actions over what they'll say. People like, I'm an upcoming artist. Okay, that's nice. Do you have a link to your YouTube? I haven't posted anything on YouTube, so you're not an upcoming artist then, big man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you're not. Oh, react to my clip, my freestyle. That's fine. Let me see if I fuck with the first 20 seconds of it. If I do, then I'll make a full video on it and I'll listen to the whole thing. 95% of the time, I don't fuck with the first 20 seconds enough for me to just out of nowhere slap a video on. The Underrated Showcase. Anyone you've heard on there, I fucked with at least 20 seconds of their song to listen to the whole thing. It's how I found out about Greesy, and it's... And he was one of the few people that said, I'm an upcoming artist from Perth. Alright, big man, let's hear Wagwan for it. Boom. He had tracks there. He had shows lined up. And still, the reason why I back Greasy so fucking hard right now is because out of all of those people, he's doing shows. I can visually see him progressing up that ladder from the and more lineup to the this is the supported act to not far off now being one of the main acts and or doing his own shows. He's constantly putting out content with quality at that. You can see the growth. So when he says, I'm an upcoming artist, yes, because he's on the come up. He's coming up. Don't tell me you're an upcoming artist, but then you haven't posted in the last 6 months. I'm sorry, but it's not happening. Again, actions over words. The reason I'll back him so much is because he's speaking with his actions. He doesn't need to message me every time he posts something new. You know why? Because I'm watching his content because I want to.
Exactly.
Because he puts out quality stuff and he's constantly and consistently putting out quality stuff. Mitchos is killing this year so far. You know why? Because he's constantly putting out content.
I know.
And so, yeah. I could go on another 2 hours about this, but yeah, I'll try and leave it at that.
Yeah, I saw Greasy the other night actually. So there was like it was like a free music festival.
Monk.
No. I wasn't actually at a show. It was just at like a free festival, and he was just with his mates. But I went up to him and I took the time out to say, look, I love your music. You're gonna go places. Just keep working hard. And he asked for my name, you know, he was very good about it, and just the level of respect he showed me, I gave him. Great bloke, making good music. I back him. You know, and I think I'd found him through your Underrated Showcase, and then from there, I've listened to all this stuff since. So just something as little as that, and then for the way he treated me when I met him, it's great. It goes a long way for his career, I think. I was going to say something before, music related. You see how you've got the albums in the background, on your wall?
Yeah.
What's your favourite out of those four?
All right, so let's just clarify one from each. So we got Whit Lowry, Kindness Regards. That's arguably the most important one out of them all. Because that was an album that pulled me through some shit, pulled me through some late teenage heartbreak and things like that. So, cool. That's probably the most important. We have Dave's Psychodrama, which is the most recent of them all. Instant classic and arguably my favourite UK artist. We have John Bellion, The Human Condition. He'll probably be the least known out of the audience that watch my videos, but John Bellion's... I don't know what genre. I guess he's a pop artist, but he has elements of so many different things. But the biggest thing about John Bellion's music is, one, it's music that I enjoy that I can play around girls, and girls enjoy his music. So that's it's always a good go-to. You know, the bedroom playlist is always a good go-to. But more so, he has on his YouTube, or I think he's with Visionary. he has making of videos, and he shows the process from literally scratch, him making and producing his own music, writing the lyrics, performing it, etc., etc. Normally bundled into like a 6, 7, 8 minute video. They are so inspiring to watch, and he is the definition of an artist. You can watch it. Obviously, way shortened down. He spends hours on it, but watching a 10-minute clip of him create an absolute masterpiece from scratch is so inspiring to see. No ghostwriters, no produced by 10 people. He might bring in someone just to play a trumpet. He'll bring someone in to play bass. But ultimately, he is the director and the visionary for his own music, and that's massively inspiring to me. So I had to get up there. Plus, the artwork just looks colorful and dope. And then the one on the far right is Getz's album Ghetto Gospel, the New Testament, which was my favorite album from 2018. That album, just top to bottom, just is so amazing, and just it was my favorite album of the year, so I just thought I had to put it up there. I'm gonna fill the wall up all the way to the top with like a mix of my favorite / important albums, but for the most part ones that I just personally enjoy. So for example, like a Tupac album might not make it up there because, all right, I like Tupac, didn't love Tupac personally, all right, cool. But then I'll have something like a John Bellion up there. Why? Because, well, I love John Bellion. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put like Skepta's album up there. I've got all the other ones planned, but that will slowly fill up over the next few months. But in terms of my favorite, don't pull on my heartstrings like that, big man. Okay, I'll say my favorite would be the Whit Lowry one, but the best album will be Dave's one. That's the answer I'm gonna give. Dave's album is... I don't see anybody making a better album than Dave's album this year. I don't. The only person who I said... And funny enough, when I did my album review, I said, the only person who can get close is Skepta. And Skepta comes second for me. He still comes second for me. And Skepta... Have you listened to Skepta's new album?
I've listened to every song 5 times.
Good, man. We're going to do a Skepta album review. You know why? Because there's no rules.
I love Skepta. He's even his old stuff, because when I found out about Skepta in maybe 2014, 15, obviously I just listened to his stuff at that time, but then I went back through the archives and I listened to Blacklisted and stuff before that, and I was inspired. And obviously I didn't grow up listening to grime. Like the first grime track I heard was probably Power by Lethal Bizzle, the remix in 2011.
Yeah, that's a good entry point.
And I was blown away by the energy of the song and what it made me feel inside. It got me up and about. I was ready, to punch a scorpion or something. But
man said to us out here, straight rights, 1-2 to a scorpion. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it made me feel things, and then since then, like 2014, 15, I've followed grime, a little bit, and then the last probably 3 years I've been heavily into it. And I mean, Skepta's album was just insane, and he showed a more heartfelt side, especially with Bullet from a Gun and talking about heartbreak and stuff, and it's something that I haven't seen too much from him. And it's good to see him.
Yeah, I agree with the whole listen. It sounded like the old Skepta in terms of the Skepta that made the album or mixtape Blacklisted. I feel like Konnichiwa is a classic. I feel like it still needs time 100%. To marinate a little bit, but I do feel like it is a classic, and I felt that from the moment that it dropped. But I will say that's a different side of Skepta. That was a Skepta just after that album. He went through this really weird stage. Like he had that interview where he's like, I wear women's clothes. Do you like it? And it was a bit like, that ain't the Skeppy that's in North London down the road from me, Tottenham. That isn't that Skepta. And recently in an interview, he said that he stopped smoking weed as of New Year. I think he was on a little bit more than just weed. That is purely speculation, by the way. But I think that's his way of saying that he may be not smoking weed anymore, but I think that's his way of saying he's also stopped doing other shit. I don't know whether it was I won't name, but you know, I have my suspicions about him being on other things, even if it was just a social thing or on nights out or at events and shows and whatnot. It could just be that, but I'm glad to see that Skepta seems in a much healthier headspace, and I think that him having a child, having a daughter, I think is a massive part to play in that. You know, he might have looked at his child, he might have looked at his missus and been like, right, I've got to raise a fucking daughter now. You know, I've got to fix my shit up. And so whether that's the reason, whether it was just him himself, whether whoever said it to him, or whether it was him just looking in the mirror and just, you know, having an honest conversation with themselves, whatever it is, I'm glad that he seems in a healthier headspace. Again, that's just what we perceive, but I think that also shows in his music. Someone who I rate very highly is Jay-Z. Why? Because the man's 50. He acknowledges what he used to do at 18, but he's not 18 no more. He's a grown man with investments and business and kids and a wife. And so that's what he's going to talk about. And so that's why his album 444 I rate so much, because he's a man touching 50 that is talking like a 50-year-old man, but can kick it and still kill it like a young artist with today's sound. And that's what I love about Jay-Z so much. And I feel like a similar thing with Skepta. Skepta's not a young man anymore. So he's talking like a man of experience, of age, that has stories to tell, you know, has knowledge to tell, but does it in a way that a 13-year-old can listen to it and enjoy, and the same way a fan that's the same age as him that grew up listening to Skeppy can still enjoy his shit.
Yeah, 100%. You know? I saw Skepta had an interview, like he's been doing a lot of publicity stuff lately, especially after the album. But he did an interview with his sister.
Yeah, Julie Adenega, Shout out Julie. Very good interview, and it's the most comfortable I've ever seen him in an interview, because normally he hides behind, you know, his persona or his character, and he gives limited information, but he really opened up, and that, I don't know, it was a really good interview to watch, and it was only 15 minutes, so it's, you know, it's easy. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, do we know who the mother of Skepta's child is or not? No, to my knowledge, I don't know. But there was rumors that it was Naomi Campbell.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
There was another rumor that it was some other model or something, but I don't know.
But I want to know who broke his heart. I want to know who the girl behind that is. I want to. It's eating at my heart.
I don't know, maybe it will all come out one day. Maybe when he's 80, he'll be on some late night show and just spill all the beans. You never know. Spill the tea. You never know. But no, for anyone wondering what that interview was, that was a Beats One interview with his sister, Julie Adenega, who's a very good radio host, a very good interviewer anyway. And then obviously they're siblings. It was funny because someone tweeted, it become like a meme almost, and it was like, it's as if she knew him his whole life. And it was just
I
like,
saw that.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, big man, but I hope so. I hope you're having us on here. But yeah, you know, and I think that's why it was such a good interview, because she knew him inside and out, you know? She knows, obviously, they know more shit that's not going to be revealed to us, and you know, but that's probably why it was such a good
that one time Skepta pooed in her pillowcase.
Yeah, man, you know, just
to get at her.
Yeah, there's no rules, you know. I was about to come out with a wild statement, but we'll allow that. So, the album Ignorance is Bliss. I feel like the title and the name and how he explained it is very inspiring as well. You know, when you block out what everyone else says, when you're just ignorant to what other people say, is when people who are the happiest normally don't care what other people think. You know, and it's something that I'm trying to work on myself. You know, I feel like I'm at a stage now where I care what other people think. I just give more fucks about what I think about myself. So if you say my song's shit, I'll take that in. But if I think it's shit, that's when it'll really, you know, if I like it and you don't, I'll be like, all right, I'm sorry you don't like it, but okay, we're going to keep it moving because I do. So I feel like I'm at that point, but I'm trying to get to that point of zero fucks are given. Just zero fucks are given. And
the thing is, it takes time. You can't just flick a switch and go to that stage. It's a personal development and growth. You got to, you know, work your way to that stage.
Oh, massively. So Yeah, I mean, you can't change overnight. Being self-aware is one thing, and realizing what you need to do to, or what you think you need to do to become a better person, then there's another thing, like actually doing it, you know? But yeah, Ignorance is Bliss. I think that's a great title. The artwork is dope as fuck.
Yeah,
kind
the
of
whole
capturing
thermal
points of
scheme
the
was
album.
really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was okay. So Bullet from a Gun, I did a reaction to that. I did enjoy Bullet from a Gun. From the bat. The track with Nath Smalls, Grease Mode, I was a little bit unsure when I first heard it.
So was I.
By the time I seen the actual music video and I see the vision that he had for it, I could vibe to it a lot more. I'll be honest, the video was kind of my turning point. And even then, I was unsure, but I knew it might have taken time to grow on me, and so I kept listening to it. And after I listened to it enough time, I'm like, yeah.
That was the same with me, and I think it was just a feature because it was a more pop style feature.
Mainstream. It had that mainstream.
Mainstream. Yeah, that's it. That's the word, mainstream. And yeah, it took me a while to adjust to it because I don't really get into the mainstream stuff too much. But yeah, after a few listens and giving it like a week to sink in, you know, I'm pumping that in the car to work every day.
Yeah.
It gets me up and about. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, you could say mainstream. I think another thing, it was quite American as well, you know, with the auto-tune and the style of it. And so if you're a massive fan of UK shit, and even the Oz scene, you know, the UK and Oz are closer together than the UK and US and Oz and the US in some ways. Especially when it comes to grime and kind of tracks like that. Then he has Red Rum, also known as Murder. Again, decent track. No Sleep, which I believe he did a Colors freestyle.
Yeah, he did.
Which had the dope visuals where they did the heat thermal view, which was absolutely sick. What do you mean? What a track! Now, when Skeppy said, when their social media hype come that he had a track with J Hus, I'm like, please don't just be one of these overrated tracks.
Yeah.
J Hus, for anyone who doesn't know J Hus, he has a magic touch. Everything he touches turns to absolute gold. And it wasn't as good as a J Hus and Dave kind of track. It wasn't as good as a J Hus Mostack. I feel like it lacked a little bit of chemistry. However, you're talking about two greats in their own lanes. And so naturally it's gonna come out. And so when I first heard the beat, I was like, whoa, this is hip hop. This has a bounce to it. What the fuck?
Yeah.
This has like a boom bap element to it almost.
It did. It sounded very 90s, eh?
Yeah. And so when that come in, it caught my attention. And I went, this is the J Hush track, right? I knew from the start. And then what do you mean? No, she's looking me clean. What do you mean? Addison Lee. I was like, oh, wheel it, reload it. I was gassed. Then,
you get blacklisted if you play with the team.
Kim Jong on the way, I spray the machine. That's
it.
Reload it. We had to pull it multiple times. It took me about 15 minutes to get to the end of that track.
Yeah.
Wheel up. After you'll get blacklisted if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Say the wrong thing and I'll spray the machine. Like just the degrees of Skepta and the confidence and swagger of J Hus and the way they just bounce back and forth.
They work beautifully together.
Oh, it did. Going through it, talking about his struggles, same old story, a very similar track. Love Me Not, man, not bad. Animal Instinct, man, not bad. Glow in the Dark with WizKid. I'm trying to remember how that song goes. I know I'm still listening to it, so I know it can't be bad in any way, shape, or form. You Wish, most underrated track on the whole fucking album.
I agree. I was talking to my friend the other day. His name's Dylan. He's one of my best mates, and he isn't heavily into grime or anything like that. But You Wish is a very grime-oriented track, right? And my mate, right? He's not into grime, but he loves Skepta, and he listened to that song and said, "That's my favorite." He only had to listen to the first 30 seconds, but You Wish is exactly how I feel sometimes. And I know not on the same scale as Skepta, but far out. That song as a grime track, insane.
Yeah. Oh, massively. He has so many bars. I've just pulled up the lyrics here.
Yeah.
I just murked him and I never needed a weapon.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
Just Must have been talking about sex if I ever said I was trying to come second.
Come second, yeah.
Bro, there's levels to this. One thing I did think of, and I know he's not catting him, but if it was an Australian artist, I would put in a strong case for it. The way he opens up his second verse, SK level, that's so not amateur. I'm done talking, talk to my manager. It reminded me so much of Nerve when he did his track Ain't No Amateur. Now, obviously, it's the same rhyming scheme, so it makes sense. But if that was an Aussie artist, I'd be sitting there going, he's catting
You'd be after him.
He is, and you never know. Maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, this was my favorite line of the track. That's why I brought up the lyrics. I couldn't remember it. These MCs falling off, only strong survive. You're gonna need more stamina. I think I need more hours in a day than I need more days on a calendar. Bro, that bar had so... Oh my god. Skepta
the layers to it, bro.
Skepta gets me gassed. So, and then he pays homage to Dave. So at this age, how was it me still murking?
Yeah.
I got gold with a body like, wow, they try to holler me, she keeps curving. Just... Skepta, man. So yeah,
many elements in that song, bro.
Yeah. Oh, massively. Yeah. That is the blacklisted Skepta. That's the old Skepta that people wanted to hear, and that's why I love it so much. You have Gangster with Boy Better Know. I'm so glad to hear JME spitting a verse on that as well. Yeah. Kills it. And then Pure Water, which we heard from months back, just a good way to end it, to be honest. So, I mean, the album from top to bottom has a very Skepta feel, but it has a level of diversity. I was talking about this a video that will be going up. I've had rendering issues, that's why it's not up yet, but a video with about Mitchos, and talking about how he has his lane. We know what style Mitchos has, but he has these small diverse changes in between each track. So from an ignorant standpoint, his music's the same, but if you listen closely and you listen to it back to back to back to back, you can see the differences and how subtly versatile he is. And that's what I love. But you know it's a Menace track. You know what to expect from him. And I feel like that's the same with Skepta. You know what to expect from Skepta, but he's also able to mix it up in this subtle way. And yeah, that's why I love Skepta, man. Love him for so many reasons, man.
So do I. And Dave, at such a young age, at this age, I'm speechless. Like, especially that Psycho Drama album. Even the first song's called Psycho, last song's called Drama. Just
right.
It hurts me.
Do I have to get into the Psycho Drama? Alright, I'll streamline this.
It'll take too long. It'll take days.
Take too long. Let me streamline my thoughts. Let's say my second review after it's had time to marinate.
Yeah.
Psycho Drama. I'm about to make a wild statement here.
Yeah.
For me personally, in all scenes, this is the views of IAmChazza. Top 5 best albums ever made.
Wow.
I'm going to say top 5 best ever albums made for this reason. Not age. Forget age, because people say about age, and I understand. Of course, Dave just turned 21. He's like a month older than me or 2 months older than me. Like, there's no denying the fact that his age, for what he's doing at his age, is amazing. Cool, fine. I'm gonna come back to that right at the end. That's not gonna be my focus. We're talking about an album that has a theme that links every single track together, back to back, flawlessly.
Yep.
That once you listen to Drama, the last track on the album, it loops perfectly background into Psycho. You have an endless loop here that all works together. So now you've got this endless loop that goes. Now, you've got a track like Streatham that talks some cruddy shit whilst barring out, whilst having a unique sound, sick visuals, and produced it. Cool. Then you go to a song like Black that talks about something so controversial but something so personal to him. Fuck all the controversy around him. The man is speaking his views and opinions, and I fucking agree with most of them, if not all. Okay? Then he'll pull out something like Purple Heart and be just little flirt with someone. Now, for me, that and Voices are the weakest tracks on the album, and I still love them both.
That's saying
Location
something.
has become the tune of the summer of 2019 here. If you send me the location, then I'll be right there. Bro! The levels! Disaster with J Hus. Another track similar to one with Skepta. Back and forth. Bouncing with this beat. Disaster for them, man. Them man there. Levels.
See, you just spitting like that bar there takes me back to a time when the album came out, and that was not even long ago, bro.
Yeah. That's it. Screwface Capital. The sample, the beat. I don't listen to beat breakdowns. I normally just skip the track. Every time the beat breaks down for 1:40, I listen to the whole thing and enjoy it. Like, if there's a long part of an instrumental or in a track where they have this long voice note part, I normally skip it. I listen to that because it...
And I can tell on that track, you can tell that was Dave's production on that final bit, because on the little piano samples and stuff.
So he actually worked alongside a producer / artist, I'm not sure, I'm 90% sure, a producer called Nana Rose, who actually did the piano bit on the end of his Hangman freestyle.
When they started dancing and stuff.
And so worked alongside Nana Rogues for that last bit on Screwface Capital. But then there's the track Environment that's so massively underrated. It's unreal. I just want to read out the lyrics to the first bit. You see our gold chains and our flashy cars. I see a lack of self-worth and I see battle scars. He has to be with 20 man when he wears jewelry. You see it as gangster. I see it as insecurity. There's levels. There's levels to barring out. And again, now I'll bring in the age thing. He's kicking knowledge from this age, and he's talking about grown man. Now let's take age back out the equation. Any man that said that knows their shit, and it's true. And it's surprising how, as much as people can say, he thinks he's big because he rolls around with so many people or whatnot, or this man's stunting and he ain't really about it. It's interesting to see. I don't think anyone's played that perspective on it before. Like, he's brought such a fresh perspective on something that's been said so many times. He's almost said something, and why has nobody else said this? And it's like, no, people have said this, but they've not said it in the way, they've not articulated it and put an image in your head as clear as Dave can do it. And it's like, it's just behind the scenes that you see what Gods gave us eyes to see. You see the video vixens and their pearly whites, but you don't see the dirty nights, long days and early flights. You see the deals and think all these rappers laughing now, but you don't get that if we weren't already... but you don't get that if we weren't already, we're a target now. You see all the groupie girls and think they're heaven sent. I see 25 minutes worth of empty sets. Bro! Again, it's something that hasn't been said. And if it has... they haven't articulated it in the way that Dave does, in such a calm voice.
I love how he's the one that's saying it, though. Like, I know no one has said it in the way that he has, but if there was anyone from the UK scene to say it, it would be him, because he sees, like, I feel like he sees the world in a way that a lot of people do see the world, but are afraid to talk about. He says it on behalf of a lot of people. And that's why people can relate.
He said that before in he's not only, I think he mentioned something along that lines that in his Hangman freestyle, but his Jekyll and Hyde track, which is the first track I heard of Dave, and he says, this is for all the man that have, this ain't for the man who have common sense, this is the man who don't have it, basically. It was something along them lines, and it's like, this isn't for the people who are doing their thing and they're actually getting on with life, this is for the people who really need to hear it. And the amazing thing about that is it still attracts the people that are smart, or the people who aren't doing mad shit. I'm not out on roads doing mad shit, but I can appreciate the perspective he's saying, because it's the similar things to what I would say. He just articulates it with rhyming words way better than I could in an hour speech. And then he also appeals to some of the most hood people I personally know. And then I love Dave. Like, it's low-key true, and it's interesting to see how they can still fuck with him. And so it's once you get someone who is stereotypically very ignorant, definitely not self-aware about themselves, and if they are, they're insecure about it, as Dave would say, insecure about it, and don't want to fully admit it. For them to enjoy Dave's music is insane, because they'll be like, yeah, it's only one of the only few rappers I'll listen to is like Dave and Gigs, and the rest is like drill and this, that, and the other. And it's like, for you to even be taken in what Dave is saying is absolutely insane. And so for him to then be able to perform live, make sick music videos, produce his shit, just come across as a down-to-earth, very natural person, just everything about Dave's success is amazing. And the best bit about it all, which I'll kind of round up on now, is despite so many people saying he can't top what he next does or what he has previously done, he does. He won't top this, he goes and does it. He won't top this, he goes ahead and does it. He won't drop the Drake remix feature, goes ahead and does it with Samantha. He won't be able to make a better song with J Hus, goes ahead and does it. He won't be able to top his Game Over EP, he goes and does it. He won't top the storytelling ability of How I Met My Ex, he then drops Leslie. Like, just, he tops everything he does, and it leaves you with this point of view of, where the fuck is the ceiling for this guy? Like, because right now, if he carries on, and the only thing holding him back is time now, in my opinion. Let's say he does this for the next 5 years, he becomes a UK legend. I already think he is. I think the only thing that holds him back from being like the GOAT or an absolute legend is time. Realistically, he's only been on the scene for a few years. I think once he does this for a decade, he'll be an absolute classic. I just hope that he doesn't take a mad left turn and fuck up whatever it is, and I hope, you know, touch woods, and God bless, however you want to put it, he lives to see 10 years of doing this music thing, you know? Because for musical purposes, we need Dave. We need Dave. And the name, Dave! There's little this and XX that. My man's just called Dave. Shout out. When are we going to get a grime artist called Keith? I want to see it.
Never. And it'll be some white 45-year-old who sells pancakes. Like,
there's no rules. Lemonade stands in the winter. There's no rules. So I'm waiting for it. So any young artist or any artist, regardless of age, that is looking for an MC or rapper name, Keith. Keith.
Easy.
And then you can clip this, and this could be on the intro of your album. There you go. You're welcome. Permission granted.
One more artist that I wanted to bring up is Yizzy. Grime artist from the UK. Now, he's been doing a lot lately, especially the last 6 months. He's put out a lot of stuff, and I listened to his EP that dropped maybe 4 or 5 days ago. Insane. The song, I'm pretty sure I sent it to you on Snapchat, of me just spazzing out to it. Bow.
Right. Yeah.
He has like Manga featuring on it, a couple of other guys, forget their names, but the energy, he's brought back the energy of grime, and I'm not saying that it left, but I'm saying that I haven't heard it as well as he can do it on an EP, not just like one body of work. Sorry, not just one single. He did it back to back, storytelling songs. I mean, I just wanted to bring him up.
Yeah, no, shout out Yizzy, man. Yizzy killed it. I mean, if it weren't for his feature with Shadow and Nerve, I wouldn't have probably checked out his Fire in the Booth, I'll be honest. And so I'm glad I did check out his Fire in the Booth because of it, because he absolutely killed it. So yeah, man, shout out Yizzy. It's interesting to see how Australian fans of music latch onto specific artists from the UK. For example, more people know about someone like Eyes or someone like Izzy Gibbs, all of these Midlands artists, someone like Kamikaze because of the Chillin' It feature and whatnot. They'll know about someone like Kamikaze more than they'll know Skepta. And that's very interesting to me, because it's like, for the same way, when I first started listening to Ozrap, alright, Alex Jones, of course, is considered up there. But let's say when I started focusing on someone like a Shadow. Shadow's massively respected. No denying that. Same way Kamikaze's massively respected. But not everyone. He's not like the... see, Shadow arguably is top tier. But I hope what you mean in terms of that very, very pinnacle of the mountain. In terms
I know what you mean.
Yeah. You know, they're
Skepta,
respected in their scene, but they're not. There's levels to the top level.
That's it. Like what I was going to say then was Skepta is a household name in the UK. I'm just imagining, like most people would know exactly. And then Shadow would not be a household name in Australia, not yet. Now that could change, but I'm going to go out and say that not one of the Australian hip hop artists right now that you listen to or react to would be well known enough to be talked about with your mum and dad. You know, especially a lot of the stuff they talk about obviously isn't exactly, but like they're not at that level of fame yet. Whereas like your Hilltop Hoods and oh shit, exposed. No, like your Hilltop Hoods, your Cursors. Let's just say Hilltop Hoods, for example. Lately, they've been touring Australia and the world forever now, and my mum and dad know them because they've had songs in like the top 20 or whatever. So they're more mainstream, but they've had a lot of time to get there. Now, you give Shadow, you give Chillin' It, you give these guys more time, they could be there. But as you're saying, like obviously, like Yizzy, Kamikaze, those guys aren't household names. That's just the way I'm going to put it.
They are known by the purists of grime. You know, they're known by the purists of Oz grime or Oz or UK grime. You know, and that's fine. You know, they're respected and shout out they're talented as fuck. I'm not saying they're no less of an artist than those top guys, but in terms of if you want to put into the whole impact that they've had and influence that they've had, it's not that level. So it's interesting to see, obviously, because of who they're featured with, and then who's kind of associated. For example, plenty of people always point out Mike Righteous to me, and they're like, Mike Righteous is the best in the UK, and I'm like, okay, we're going to have a chat now, young man. Mike Righteous is sick. No denying it. But when they're talking about best lyricists from the UK, I'm like, I can name another 5 that's ahead of him. I'm sorry. Let's just name one, Wretch 32. Just listen to Wretch 32 and then talk to me about lyricism from any scene, pure, full stop. And so I understand why people fuck with these artists, but just before you start saying they're the best from a certain scene, just please listen to, just listen to majority first. And same way of when I first started, listening to Oz rap, I was saying my favorites. I never said they're the best or the biggest because I didn't know enough about Cursor. I didn't know enough about Hilltop Hoods, etc., etc. And so given that, I mean, at this point now, knowing Oz rap for just over a year now, I'm comfortable in saying that Alex Jones is my favorite artist. And I'm also comfortable in saying that if he was still active, I personally believe that he would also be the biggest. However, we don't know because he's taken breaks for personal issues, etc., etc. And whereas someone like Cursor, has to be said, he was consistent, drops the album every year, bar last year because of his vocal cords and all of that shit. Drops an album, 10 albums, 10 years or whatever it is. And is very, very consistent, hence why he's at the top. And that's where the argument comes in. If Alex Jones was, if, there's all these ifs and buts, but at the end of the day, Cursor's there. Cursor did it. There's no point doing all the ifs and buts when Cursor actually did. For example, same as Hilltop Hoods. I know they hit a different market, especially that mainstream market of hitting the charts and radio, etc., etc., but they're doing it. So there's no denying what they have done. And again, actions over words. That's what I was going back to. So it falls perfectly into that bit.
That's the title of the podcast.
That's it. And so, actions over words. Definitely. You know what? I like that. I might highlight that whole conversation and put that up. We're going to finish up here, man. I appreciate you stopping by, man. It's been a good chat. It's been a good chat. We needed to have a chat anyway. I feel like it was good to just film it anyway. So,
for sure.
Is there any things you want to shout out or plug yourself?
I mean, I'll plug myself. Why not?
You have to. Do it, man. Go for it, man. So
I make YouTube videos. If you could kindly put the link in the description, that would be great. I'm just trying. I've been making videos for a couple of years now, and I've gone through different phases of different content. But I'm trying to make more relatable and comedy content of late, and yeah, if you could hop over and give my channel a chance, give it a watch, that'd be greatly appreciated. But just wanted to say thanks to you, Chazza. Thanks for having me on. It's been a great chat, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Oh man, appreciate that, man. And just last thing to mention, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you in the first place. So there we go. I'll always pay homage to that, and I'll always say thank you for that, man. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.